I know loads of women are scared to be 30 and think once they're in their 30s, it's game over. But I'm telling you now, I'm probably the most strongest I've ever been, the most fittest, and I've hit so many PBs that I never did in my 20s.
Welcome to Soulful Success. I'm your host, Janelle Chiara, and we are back with another guest episode. And I'm so excited for this episode because this is the first time that I'm meeting Davina. We've spoke online and we've been having conversations. We're both living in Thailand, and you've recently helped me with my fitness journey. And I was like, I need you on the pod. We need to speak all things fitness and all things being women with fitness and traveling. Which I feel like there's so many people speaking about fitness, but traveling and trying to stay on track is a completely different thing. So thank you so much for joining me. And can you give us a little bit of an introduction as to who you are?
I know loads of women are scared to be 30 and think once they're in their 30s, it's game over. But I'm telling you now, I'm probably the most strongest I've ever been, the most fittest, and I've hit so many PBs that I never did in my 20s. So that's a little bit of a background on me, to be honest.
I'm so excited for this conversation purely for the fact that we just had a little bit of a conversation before, right? About, because I'm turning 30 and if you're a woman in your 30s and you're on the internet, or you're about to turn 30 and you are on the internet, they make it out as if your life is finished. Like, you're a woman, you're not married, you don't have kids, you're finished by 30. And that is just not the case. Like, I, the same as you, feel more optimal now at the end of my 20s going into my 30s than what I ever have. But one thing that comes, I think, with turning 30 and going into your 30s or being in the end of your 20s is a real focus around your health and fitness and wanting to not just look the best, but also feel the best. I think, you know, when you're in your early 20s, that flat stomach's just there, you know, and you don't have to work for it. But as you get older, I genuinely feel like you have to work for it a lot more.
I agree. And when I started up training and when Instagram was still just growing in my early 20s, you couldn't just get programs so easily. You couldn't get all the reels and all those workout programs, and not everybody was educating themselves online quite easily. But now there's an abundance of platforms and on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, but then it gets to the point where you hear a lot of mixed messages. And I do feel for people these days that I know I've had a couple of clients before which would tell me they have coconut oil in the morning or a spoon of coconut oil, and I'm like, why are you doing that? And they say, oh, for fat loss because I've seen it on TikTok. And that stuff like that is quite jarring because, one, you can just listen to anything on TikTok and believe it. And two, I think a lot of clients will just believe all the fads that they see on Instagram and TikTok. So I think that's one thing that's only a bit negative and downfall about social media as well, because a lot of people can do false claims on there as well.
100%. I see so many things, and we were having a conversation actually. And I listened to a podcast which was saying, you know, you don't want to spike your insulin in the morning. So don't start with fruit, start with like high protein. But I also think that we need to realize that we are all individual. We're all different. So what works for someone is also not going to work for you. And I think it's really important that we really understand that on a deeper level, because if you see something on TikTok, that might be what works for them, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Exactly. I think me and you did speak about this as well, because you were telling me about your high protein breakfast, and I'm really big on gut health. I think we spoke about that. In the past 10 years, I've read loads, done a lot of podcast, like research into it so much, where I think there's a doctor called Tim Spector. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's done so many studies where he's compared twins and looked at their gut bacteria, and every single person has different resistance, different blood sugar spikes, different gut bacteria, and that's so important to hear. And not just that, I think when you were telling me about your high protein breakfast as well, that I found really interesting, because I think I told you to, like, once you break your fast in the morning, if you're intermittent fasting, have polyphenols, have like almonds to like fill that gut bacteria, because one thing is having a fulfilling breakfast, but another thing, just you want to keep your whole body like alive. And that's why I'm so big on gut bacteria and gut health and stuff, because once you get that sorted, you notice your skin's better, your energy's better, your sleep's better, your performance better. And once you hit the nail on the head on all of that, it just, it's amazing. It honestly is amazing.
100%. I seen something on Facebook the other day actually, and it was a parent who was talking about their daughter, and they have ADHD and autism, and what she did was switch the child's diet, and that completely changed how that child was. You know, her sleeplessness was going, her behavior and her attitude completely changed. And what they say is like your gut is like your second brain, right? So it's really important that we understand what we're actually putting into our bodies and how it can affect us, because we all know, like, when you're eating really bad, it actually impacts your mood.
Yeah, honestly, it really does. Like, I know, so I was just traveling in Philippines for 3-4 weeks, and again we talked about how hard it is to stay disciplined traveling and tracking, and sometimes you just need your body to rest, and that's completely fine. And it's just being a bit more mindful what you're eating. Again, if you're having McDonald's every day or fried chicken every day, obviously that's not going to help, and you're going to feel crap after. But if you're being conscious and having a lot of fruit and reduce the processed foods, you notice it. But I think there has been so many studies as well where not just intermittent fasting and fasting, but looking after your gut health does solve a lot of medical problems as well, and sleep problems. It's shocking. It's amazing though. But I think we're quite fortunate now that we have access to learn about this, educate ourselves about this, and have good food around us.
This is probably going to be the first time that some people are hearing this information, because I'll be honest with you, you are the first coach that I've spoken to that has said anything about gut. I had a really bad experience with a male online fitness coach, and honestly, oh my God, if there's one thing that's going to put you off your fitness journey, it's a bodybuilder. Honestly, like, for me, I'm somebody that I'm very autonomous, and I have an issue with being told what to do. Okay.
Yeah.
So I find it really hard when programs are too restricting and like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Anyway, there was this guy. I seen someone's fitness journey, but again, it was a man. And this is something that I want to get into, because men and women are completely different, and especially with training and eating and all that kind of stuff. So I seen one of my friends went on like this transformation, and I was like, yes, I'm going to sign up with this coach. I signed up with this coach, and honestly, I said to him, so I had a plan, macros, all of this kind of stuff, gym plan, amazing. But I travel a lot. So when I'm in the UK, I'm up and down on the motorway. So as much as I want to do meal prep, I don't eat salad. I'm really fussy with food, so you know, sometimes I do just have to get whatever the food is at the time. And I remember him saying to me, so I was like, oh, so by the way, I don't eat cold food as well. So it, you know, it's really hard when you are somebody who not only are you trying to be on a fitness journey, but you're really fussy with food.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't eat salad, whatever. So I can't take food with me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Pepe's and I'm going to get a chicken wrap. So rather than getting a McDonald's, you know, is this a better option? And he was like, he sent me a portable microwave that you can plug in USB into your car, and he's like, take that with you. And I was like, you're just actually are you taking the piss right now?
Just have the wrap.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that this is the point where when you're on this fitness journey, you decide like, yep, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then you get a coach who's really restricting you. To me, it puts me off, and I will just go back the other way. So I'm just like, you know what? Forget this. I'm not even doing it anymore. And I think it's really important to understand that as a coach, you know, learn about your clients and how can you tailor it to their needs, because I don't know, maybe men are different. I think men go harder with fitness, right? That when they're like, I don't know, when they're committed to it, they're disciplined. But I'm going to be honest with you, when it's period week, I'm eating chocolate.
You need it.
Yeah.
You need magnesium. You need the dark chocolate. That is so important. It's so funny you said that, because I do find, especially in the bodybuilding industry, or the guys that do weight train, lift weights and stuff, they have stuff like grenade bars and protein bars, which I'm not hating, because you need the sugar and stuff, but I'm also very conscious of what I put in my body. So I tend to, even when it comes to protein as well, I always look in the ingredients. If there's ingredients I don't know, it's full of chemicals. I don't put that in my body because it's just full of crap, to be honest. And even with protein, I don't know if you all find this with like whey protein. And I know a lot of my female clients have said this, that they don't like protein or whey protein. And it's because they use all these chemical filled protein products or whey products that impact the gut, or they just feel rubbish after. And I've told some of them to swap to like pea protein, vegan protein, and they've noticed a difference, and it's not as impactful on their like stomach, and they don't feel rubbish after. But I think that's so important, where you do get a coach that understands not just like your cycle periods, but understand your eating likes and dislikes, because you want to enjoy their process. It's not just about hitting and getting to your certain body type or getting to like meeting all your goals in the gym, but you want to enjoy it, because working out shouldn't be hard. Like, this should be complementary to your lifestyle. It should wake you up in the morning, you get it done, enjoy it, you enjoy food. It shouldn't get to the point where you're dreading what to eat, or putting it on your my fitness pal and thinking, oh, I've eaten that much. You need to enjoy life. And I think that's really key as well for coaches to tell their clients, and it is about that balance. But yeah, when it comes to pre-period week or on period week, you need that chocolate, you need that dark chocolate. Like, I will have dark chocolate every single day, and even on my shreds I eat chocolate every day. I don't believe in restriction.
This is music to my ears, because one thing about me is I'm going to eat the cake, and I'm here for one life. I'm sorry. I'm not restricting myself by not eating cake, but I also do want this amazing body, and I do want a healthy lifestyle, but I do struggle with restricting myself. So like, give me some advice right now, because I want the cake and I want the body. What do I do?
So it's just about balance, right? So when I say macros rather than calories, no, macros, you want to hit your protein, carbs and fat a day. It's about balance. So you can have your cake or your slice of cake, but make sure it just fits in your macros. If you do eat over on one day, it'll balance out in the week anyway, on the next day. But yeah, and as well, what's really important, like, when you do restrict yourself, you can get into the habit, and I've got it when I was in my early 20s, where there's a thing called orthorexia, where it's this kind of eating disorder about clean eating, where you're so used to clean eating, when you eat a biscuit or eat a chocolate, you feel guilty. So you tend to have the whole pack of biscuits or eat the whole bag of M&Ms, because you think, oh no, you restrict yourself because you think this is the only time I can eat it. And when you do, you'll feel guilty. So you'll go to the gym for 3 hours or 2 hours. And that's something you don't want to result in. So when I say with not restrictive eating, don't restrict yourself. If you want that cake, have that slice, but just eat it in moderation. You don't need to have the full cake. But you'll get to the point as well where you kind of don't care for having it anymore. So once you allow yourself to have that piece of cake or have that chocolate, you won't actually crave it as much. Like, you get to the point where you have a bit of a reduction of sugar, where you don't crave that sugar all the time. And I think that's pretty good to balance out as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think sometimes it's when you are restricted, we're humans, right?
Yeah.
And it's psychology. So when we're told not to do something, it makes us want to do it even more. So I think sometimes when you are on these fad diets, because so many of my friends have done like the Weight Watchers, and then they've done the 6-week body transformation, and they've done all of these things, but then they end up just going back to the person that they were before. So they'll go to the Weight Watchers and they'll do the Weight Watchers for 3 months, and then afterwards they're just going to pile the weight back on.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I know there's a few boot camps that say for 8 weeks or 10 weeks, do not eat this, and they get to their body at 10 weeks, and then after, they literally just rebound after a month. And I do find that painful. But I think when you do cut out sugar, don't get me wrong, you do notice a difference, and it's an amazing change. But I think once you cut it out and introduce it back in, do it in moderation, do it in fruit, and don't feel like you can't not have it. That's why I'm saying, when people do sugar detoxes, I think it's good, so you reduce the sugar cravings, for example, after a meal. But at the same time, you don't want to finish the 10 weeks and then just put that weight back on because you feel like you can't have it again because you restricted yourself so much. But that's so interesting you see that, because I have seen that quite often. But no, not something I'm a fan of either.
Yeah, I think that it's great to do, you know, the 6-week body challenge and you can see a massive transformation. But for me, I think it's really important to have everything. For me has to be holistic. It has to be a lifestyle change. And I was saying this on a previous podcast episode that someone's like, oh, you're a gym girl. And I was like, I'm now a gym girl. 2 years ago, I was not a gym girl. I'd go to the gym for 2 days and then I'd stop for 2 months. But what I realized is that I stopped putting the pressure on myself and just started enjoying the process. I started enjoying going to the gym. So now I go to the gym every single week, 3 days a week, and it just become a routine and it become a habit, and it's something that I really enjoy. Whereas before, I think I was putting the pressure on myself and being like, I'm going to the gym 5 days a week, but then if I don't go, then I'm like, oh, actually I've failed, and then I give up.
Yeah, and it's so funny you said that you're a gym girl, because I'm still trying to get you onto one of these classes, by the way. You said you're not into cardio, but I want to drag you into a Unit 27 class and we'll find out. I think you'll end up loving it. But I think do what you enjoy. I know when you get to that point where you haven't trained in like 3-4 days, you feel like, what's the point? Is getting that motivation back up. And that's why sometimes having a program and a coach does help you get that motivation, because you need someone that makes you accountable of something. So it's easy to follow these because for years, I think for a good like 6-7 years, I was doing it on my own. Like I was thinking, oh, I can find it all on Instagram. I can just pay for, you know, when you just pay for the apps and they do their macros for you and they give you a pre-plan. I was just doing all of that. And you probably you speak to one of the larger companies like Workers and stuff, that will give you a few check-ins online, but it's not that personal. And I switched to that, to getting a proper coach, and it made such a difference. Like I think the past 2-3 years, if I showed you my transformations, not even just like the gym and my body, I wish I did it sooner. Like I feel like I wasted my time trying to do it all myself in my 20s, and I've learned. And obviously being qualified does help, but also having a coach, because they teach you so much. And then when you're in environments like run clubs and gyms, you learn from each other all the time. It's a game changer. It really is.
I think that we will spend money on going out, we'll go party. We're so quick to spend money on things that don't benefit us. But when it comes to having a coach in any form, business coach, you know, fitness coach, we are so like, oh, I don't want to spend money on that. I can do it myself. It doesn't make any sense, because the best investment that you can make is investing into yourself.
Exactly. You know what? It's so funny you said that, because it's investing in yourself. Business mentors, fitness coaches, anything, even the podcast you listen to, it all is investment. Because when you put that money down, you're thinking, I've put this money down, I need to make the most out of it. And that's the difference between paying a coach, I don't know, £500 or something a month, to a £10 workout plan a month, or an app a month. Because when you put that money down, you will invest in that money and put that time in that money.
100%. I was actually just having a conversation about this, and I was saying that when I was at Pure Gym and paying 20 quid, I was not bothered about going. When I upgraded my life and I went to David Lloyd's, which is now £150 per month, I'm making sure I'm there. So I think sometimes when you put money into something, it makes you show up. And also having a coach, having that accountability, because I'll be honest with you, if I don't have a coach in my life, if I don't have someone that's telling me what I should be doing, or I have to show up, then I'm just not going to do it. But if I'm coaching with you and I know that you're watching my Instagram stories and you can see that I'm not eating good, I'm gonna be like, shit, I need to actually, you know, I need to put this cake down, and I need to make sure that I'm hitting my macros.
Yeah, because sometimes you do need someone to kind of say, okay, not even should you be eating that, or okay, you're on track tomorrow, or just a little check-in with yourself. Because when you get your check-in, and it's so funny, because when I used to check in with my coach, I would say, oh, I've eaten pizza the day before, just letting you know. And you kind of want, it's really funny, it's like a student-teacher relationship, isn't it, where you're checking in, but you need that, because you want to make them proud, you want to impress them and say, look, I've done this. And it is a mutual respect and achievement when you see your clients doing well. Like I love seeing my clients manage to do one pull-up. Like when I see that, I get so happy for that. But no, it is such an exciting process for anyone. on their fitness journey?
One thing that I've struggled with is traveling and maintaining.
Yeah.
So coming to Thailand, before I came to Thailand, I was really on track. I literally was my own body goals. And I was like, I
Yeah.
finally got to that point. It's so funny. I got to the point that I wanted to get to, and then I come to Thailand and it just all went out the window. How, if you're traveling or living in a different country where you can't really track because you're eating out a lot, like with Thailand, the culture is to eat out. Now I do have a kitchen, and you have made me start cooking even more, which is fantastic. But if someone is traveling, you know, say you're going traveling for 6 months and you're not staying somewhere with a kitchen, how do you stay on track?
It is hard, I'll be honest, because that was me in Philippines past 3-4 weeks. I wasn't tracking, but I also wasn't fast. So it depends if you're short-term and long-term travel. So if you're on short-term holidays, give yourself a break, give yourself a rest, and don't worry about it. Like, weight fluctuates, it comes and goes, don't worry. But if you're long-term and you don't have a kitchen, I would say just eat mindfully. So I do find intermittent fasting still works. So like 12 to 14 hours, give your body a break, is really helpful because it'll stop you from like overeating, and also let your gut bacteria repair itself, and just reduce the processed foods as well. So just eat a bit more mindful. So like you said, you love to eat rice, and I don't think rice is a bad thing, but just have it in moderation. Maybe have like one rice meal a day. I'm not saying eat salads all day. If you want the ice cream, have the ice cream, but you don't need to be having ice cream every single day. It's all about moderation, and also just mindfully eating as well. I think when you're on holiday, especially in hot countries like this, you crave a lot of like sugar or like sports drinks and stuff, which is full of sugar, and that's probably gonna keep you off track. So swapping that for coconut water or fresh juice or fresh, I don't know, protein shakes kind of makes a difference. But little steps like that might help. Again, it's going to be hard because you're not tracking, but I would say don't like feel guilty if your weight fluctuates, because it's so normal. It's so normal. It's hard to maintain abs as well. Like, it's not sustainable.
I can imagine. You know, I want to mindfully eat, but I think it's just as any other part in your life. It's discipline.
Yeah.
You know, and also portion control. That was a massive part for me. You know, if I had this thing where if my plate is full, I need to finish it. And I don't even know where this comes from. Like, this is like a limiting belief or something that I've learned from being a kid or something. Maybe your parents telling you to like, make sure you eat all your food. But I realized, like, coming out to Thailand, they would give me like a big plate of rice. And one thing about me is I'm going to want to finish the whole plate.
Yeah.
And that's where I struggle sometimes.
I don't know what it is. And maybe it's a parent thing that made us feel guilty, because they say kids out there starving for this food.
That's what it is.
Because I had the same problem too. So definitely just box it up. Give it to one of the stray dogs. No, you could do, or just eat it tomorrow. You've got a fridge in your hotel room. But do not feel like you need to, because the portions here are massive. And especially when you're away, I found that in Philippines as well. But it's huge. It's absolutely huge, because most of these plates are like sharing dishes as well. So definitely boxing one up is probably something to do.
And just learning not to eat the whole thing.
But if you're hungry, you're hungry.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's hard because when you're on holiday, you sometimes forget to eat like breakfast, lunch and dinner. So your lunch and dinner might turn into one. Your breakfast and lunch might turn into one as well. So
as women, there is so much pressure to look a certain way. You know, we're in the BBL era. What's your thoughts on the pressures around women to look a certain way, and how do you actually battle that yourself, you know, with having to have like this perfect body, this hourglass figure, you know, that's the shape right now, but it changes all the time.
Honestly, it changes all the time. And I've got friends that still feel conscious of their body, and I do feel like that's a downside of Instagram, because you see all these girls that are probably heavily filtered as well, with all these BBLs and boob jobs and everything. And I'm not slating that at all, because we talked about plastic surgery. You do whatever makes you feel happy. But I do feel we need to stop comparing ourselves to these girls online and in person, because everybody is in different shapes and bodies, and you're all beautiful, as in it took me years to actually, I know I've gained a little bit of weight from Philippines, and normally like years ago or last year or something I'd probably cry about it, but this is the first time I've just been like, I'm a woman, this is my body, this is my shit, I am accepting of it. And once you accept yourself for who you are, you'll feel a lot more comfortable. But again, I'm not going to say anyone that has BBLs and boob jobs, because if that makes them happy and they feel more comfortable in the skin, that's to them. But for other people that are facing body dysmorphia or feel like they need to have a big ass or abs or boobs, I think take a step back just to appreciate the body you've got now. And it's all about, if you go to the gym and stuff, you want to be the best versions of yourself. So if the best version of yourself isn't abs or isn't a bum, but just like getting to your weight goal that you wanted to be, accept that, appreciate that, because you're doing the best that you can. And it's really hard, but honestly, accepting yourself is like a step forward to anything.
100%. And I think what you said there was like just appreciating the body that you've got. I think we're so wrapped up in the next best thing, and like there is pressure to hit goals and like, you know, your weight goals, or have this bum or have these abs, but actually appreciating the fact that this body got you where you are now, and just general health. And I think that's why it's important to look at fitness holistically, rather than, you know, it's not just aesthetics. It's really about how you feel on the inside, how your body and your organs are operating.
And if you think about it, when you meet people, you're not judging them. Well, you're not judging them on if they've got a big bum or if they've got abs. No one will see that. So people are like recognizing who you are as a person. Having abs or ass or BBL or boobs do not define you as a person. It's who you are. And once you remove that, you'll understand, okay, like as long as I'm appreciating myself and confident with myself, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest attraction.
100%. It's been such a lovely conversation. It's been so wholesome. And I feel like this isn't just your typical PT coaching conversation. I feel like people have really got some gems, especially like around gut health and stuff like that as well. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been fun.
No, thanks for having me.
And where can everybody find you?
So my Instagram page, Davina P Fitness, is probably like the best to follow me or shout me on there as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I'm dragging you to a unit class this week though.
Oh my God, guys, watch out for this content because I am going to die. Remember when I said I was a gym girl? This is a gym girl.